This month, we are focusing on coming up with action steps because I know that that is something that so many people struggle with, is breaking down their goals and figuring out what their action steps could be. I'm not going to say what they should be because there is no right or wrong answer to action steps, but what could they be? What are they? And examples of them. And so the last 2 weeks we did one-time steps and then weekly steps. So if you haven't checked those out, I would definitely recommend checking those out. You don't need to watch them in any particular order, but all 3 of them are very helpful in their own regards. So last, but certainly not least, today we are talking about daily steps. And these are the ones that most of us are pretty good at coming up with. We can think of things, oh, I want to do this every day. I want to do this every day. But we're really bad at implementing them. We're really bad at the follow through on the daily steps. And I think you know why. I think you know what I'm going to say. The number one reason that we struggle is that they're too big and that we are trying to do way too much. Most goal planners, I say most, the main goal planners that are out there have 6 daily step options, right? Mine has 6 daily step options. Most of the other main goal planners have 6 options. If you had 6 daily steps and they each take 5 minutes, which 5 minutes doesn't sound like a whole lot, that's 30 minutes of your day, which is a good chunk of your day. 30 minutes is a big chunk. If I asked you to find 30 free minutes in your day every single day, you would probably look at me funny and be like, there's no way I can do that. So keep that in mind, that when you're picking daily habits, even if they are as small as 5 minutes, they add up. They add up. And so my guess is that you aren't following through with them because you have too many and they're too big. So when you're considering your daily steps, I want you to be picky. I want you to pick daily steps that are super important to you. I want you to pick daily steps that are related to the most important goal on your list. I want you to be picky when it comes to them. And I also want you to make them smaller. But let's start with, before we talk about follow through, let's start with the types of daily steps, right? What are our options in terms of daily action steps? So it could be a further breakdown of a monthly or a weekly goal, right? We've been using reading as a goal every single week as an example. So let's say you have a quarterly goal, right? We can go back even further, right? You have a quarterly goal to read 12 books. You have a monthly goal to read 4. You have a weekly goal to read 1 book. How many minutes of that are you going to need to read per day in order to hit that weekly goal of 1 book? The numbers here vary greatly based on how big of a book you're reading or listening to, listening counts, and how fast you read or listen to books, right? If you listen to them at a faster speed, etc. But it could just be a breakdown. I am a big supporter of you having your goals in more than one of these sections. I know I said this the last 2 weeks and I'm saying it again, just in case you didn't hear me. You can have a goal in literally all 3 sections. I don't have a good example of this here. I have some that are in more than one section. So I crossed it off, but finished program originally was related to working out. And so workouts and finished program are one and the same. And then the vegetables are in both sections, but you can have it in all 3. You can have something in the one-time step, the weekly step, and the daily step, because there may be times that you hit it in one of the areas and not the other. Right? So let's continue with this reading example. You have a monthly goal to read 4 books, a weekly goal to read 1 book, and you determine that that's about 30 minutes a day of reading for you. And so when you are checking it off, we're going to talk in a little bit about how, is 30 minutes a day reading really feasible for you? But regardless, for this example's purpose, you have it in your daily section to read 30 minutes a day. So let's say on any given week, you check it off 5 out of the 6 days or 7 days. So there's 2 days that you didn't check it off, but that happened to be a shorter book. So you still check off the weekly section. Now, let's say the next week you do 4 of the 7 days. And so you don't finish a book. And so in that weekly section, you don't check it off. But then the next week you read all 7 of 7 days. And you read 2 books, you finish 2 books. So not only do you get the weekly section, but then you're much more likely to hit that monthly section. Does that make sense? So you're getting those check marks in different places. And again, if you're somebody who's not motivated by check marks, maybe this isn't a scenario for you, but I find that most of us are. Now, your daily step could be a habit that you eventually want to implement and take off your list, right? It could be something that you're putting down as a daily habit that you don't want to ever stop. Okay. For example, drinking my water. This is something I don't ever want to stop. I want to hit my water goals all the time. And I don't want to be thinking about them as water goals, right? I just want to be thinking about them as drinking water and drinking the right amount of water for my body and my needs. And so a very common question that I get is, how do I know when I'm ready to take the habit off my goal tracker? How do I know when I'm ready to just do it and not have to track it anymore? And I wish there was a magic formula, y'all. I wish I could tell you when you're doing it this percent of the time, or whatever it is. There is no right answer. It's going to be unique to your individual goals and your individual ability to do things. What's that phrase? I can't think of what the phrase is, where it's like your ability to do adult type things. Some of us have we all have different abilities to do different ones, right? For some people, certain things just like happen automatically. You don't even have to think about it. And for other people, those things are tough, and vice versa. And so I can't give you a magic formula here. What I can tell you is, once you start to figure this out for yourself, you'll know when it feels right. So it may be a percent that feels right to you, or when you feel like you're just doing it without the accountability of the goal sheet, then it might feel right to take it off. And the good news, you can always add it back on if you need to. If you take, you've seen me do this over the years. I have, by the way, shared my goal progress like this for almost, I think we're heading into I think this is the 7th year that I will have shared goals. I think 2019 is the first year I shared like my annual goals. And 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, yeah, 25. Then we're going into our 7th year. You have seen me take things off and add things back on so many times, right? My water will be consistent, and then I'll take it off and be like, I feel dehydrated. I know I'm not drinking enough water, and I'll put it back on. And you can always do that. It doesn't mean that you're failing. It just means that different seasons of life, you're going to be better at doing things and not doing things. The other thing to remember when it comes to your habits is you can always change things about how you do it or when you do it. Just because it's a habit doesn't mean it has to be the same way forever, right? So maybe you put something on your tracker and you say that, I'm going to read. Let me give you a good example. I'm going to do my gratitude journaling every morning as part of my morning routine. And so you have it on there, gratitude, and you start doing it and you check it off. And then after a while, it feels good. You're doing it without even thinking about the habit tracker. So you stop and you continue to do it. And then all of a sudden you stop doing it. And so you think to yourself, well, why is it not working? And so you add it back on thinking that the habit tracker is going to help. And it doesn't. You find that putting it back on the habit tracker still didn't solve the problem. Maybe something needs to change about it. Maybe you need to try it at a different time of day with a different reminder, or some other tweak about the habit to make it a habit again. Sometimes just putting it on the habit tracker isn't enough. And there's something about the habit that doesn't work. There are times when I put water as my water goal, and I need to find other ways to make sure I'm getting in my water. One of those, I'm literally just spitballing examples to you, but one of those is that I don't get to have a second cup of anything fun. I really don't get to have another. Let me try this again. I hate when it's alive and I wish I could restart my sentence like I do when I'm filming. I don't get to have a secondary fun or any sort of additional fun drink until I've finished a cup of water. Now, that doesn't count for my first cup of coffee. Okay. I need coffee first thing in the morning to function. So I have my first cup of coffee. I don't get a second cup of coffee or a tea, any kind of fun drink until I've at least finished one thing of water. Then I don't get any kind of evening fun drink until I've at least finished 2 of my waters. Now, my goal is to get 3, and I'm getting better at it. You can see, right? I'm getting better at getting my 3 in, but it's not consistent. But at least I know that those are my rules, that I don't add more liquid to my body without hitting my water first. Another thing I always try to do is if I'm close to being done when I'm having a meal or I'm in the kitchen, I will just chug it to finish it and be like, I'm already in here and now I can fill it up again. So little tweaks that you might need to change how you do habits in order to stick with them. Now, maybe your daily steps are just temporary. right? It's not a habit that you want to do forever. It's something that you're doing now just to help you with whatever the goal is that you're doing, right? I had packing on my daily section when I've had December daily on my daily section. Those are some examples of things I wanted to do every day or almost every day, but not because I want to do them forever, because I want to do them temporarily. Something else to note when it comes to your daily steps is it doesn't have to be every day, but maybe it's something that you want to track how many you're doing per week and you're putting it in the daily section. So I talked about this a little bit last week when we were talking about weekly, but that's how I'm doing vegetables, right? So I have vegetable in my daily section. In an ideal world, I'm getting at least, in an ideal world, I'm getting way more, right? Don't come at me with your vegetable judgment. I know some of you totally relate to me. In an ideal world, I'm getting multiple servings of vegetables every day. Right now, I'm working towards 1 per day. And then my weekly goal is 7 per week. It doesn't have to be 7. It could be less, right? I could be tracking my daily, but my weekly goal could be 3. It could be less than the total number of days. Or it could be more, right? That would be my next level up, by the way, which I talked about last week, that my daily vegetable may stay at 1 and I may up my weekly to 10. Spoiler alert, I'm not doing that for March because I'm not ready for that. But I may up it to 10. My sister does this with workouts, right? I have my workout in my weekly section as 3 different lines. What she does is put in the weekly section, workout X number of times, whatever her goal is for that month. And then she has it in the daily section so she can see exactly how many days that she did it. The number 1 tip I want you to remember when it comes to your daily steps is to start with where you're at. I mean, actually, this applies to all of your goals, but especially with your daily steps. If you're going to do something every single day or most days, I want it to be such a small increment, such a small improvement. And I understand that it can be tough and you're like, but I'm not going to see change if I only make a small improvement. First off, you will. But second off, that's not the point. The point is that you are proving to yourself that you can do it. And so you need to start with where you're at. If all you're doing right now, right? I told you my water goal was 3 of these, but that's because most days I get 2 to 2.5 without even trying. So 3 is that little bit of push. If you are getting, let's say, a half of one of these, and that's how much water you're drinking on a regular basis, your daily step could be 1, but not more than that. Start really, really small. Going back to that reading example of 30 minutes, right? That's a lot. 30 minutes a day of reading is a lot. Now, if what you're doing now is 20 and then you want to up it to 30, that is an option. If what you're doing now is 0, 30 is a lot. In the book Atomic Habits, James Clear talks about the 1% improvement. Now, some things are easy to quantify and you can figure out what a 1% improvement is. And some things are really tough to figure out what is a 1%. So I just want you to do your best. But this is when I don't have this as a pop-up, but I remind you this all the time. Putting down a routine on the daily step is a huge jump. A routine is a group of action steps. So if you put down, I'm going to do my morning routine. Well, how many steps is that? Start with 1. Start with where you're at and then add a little bit more. And then I hate to break it to you, but you're going to miss days. There is rarely a scenario that you are going to have something that you do every single day all the time. Even one of you, when we did the last 100-day challenge, there was one of you who did it 99 out of 100 days. That's amazing. That is amazing. Crushing it. They still missed 1 day. And I'm not saying that to that is freaking amazing, right? The highest percentage of anybody. Nobody did 100 is my point. Nobody did 100 because that's not life. Things happen, life happens, and you will miss days. And you just have to push and keep going. One of the best tips I ever saw that I do try to implement myself is if you have a daily habit, something you're trying to do every day, try not to miss 2 days. Now, I can't pretend I'm perfect, right? I should just leave this up because I keep talking about it. Momentum is real. And so when you miss 2 days, it's harder to get back on that momentum train, but you will miss days. If you can, make it even smaller. I would rather you have something so small that feels so silly to you. Like, I can't believe I'm putting this down on a piece of paper because it's so small and so silly that you actually do than something that feels good or big or right or whatever that you don't follow through on, right? So if you can, try making it even smaller. You've also heard me say this before, but I want to say it again. No more than one brand new item per month. That's my recommendation. There are no rules in goal setting. You get to do your goals however you want. You can break this rule if you want. But my suggestion is always that you stick with only one brand new item per month. Because if you try to do more than one, you're more likely than not going to do none of them. So I would rather you do one habit really well. I've said, when we talked about routines, we did a whole series on routines last year in like August, July sometime. I'll link it. And one of the things I talked about there is I would rather October, November. I think it was July, because what I said was I would rather you start now and start with one action step every month for the last 5 months of the year and go into the new year with a solid 5-step morning routine than to start a 10-step morning routine on August 1st that you only follow through half of August and then you quit, right? No more. If you can, prioritize it. Brand new item per month. All right, last generic daily habit, daily action step commentary. Some goals won't have them. Some goals, it just doesn't fit. And we're going to go into examples and you will see that some examples or some of the goals don't have a lot because there's just not that many. So don't feel bad if you don't have it. I mean, you can see this here, right? 2 of my goals don't have a daily step. So don't force it. It doesn't have to happen. Okay. All right, let's go into the examples. Remember, these are just ideas. These are suggestions, examples from you, like the community on your exact goals. And I'm not saying these are the things that you have to do to be successful with these goals. These are just ideas, and I hope that it just sparks something for you. So we're going to start with finance. So here are some daily action step ideas for finance. Track unplanned spending. I like the specificity there. Track daily expenses, check bank balances, no spend in certain categories, and wait a day before purchasing. I like that one. The next category is home. So do a 5-minute tidy, have daily cleaning tasks, which again, this particular one by itself is huge. I don't know how many tasks they were talking about, right? I just took this verbatim. If let's say you have 5 daily tasks that you'd like to do every day, cleaning wise. I think one of those cleaning books, I think she has like 5 things to do every day. It's like shine your sink and something else. I don't know what they are. Regardless, don't start them all on day one. That's not how it's going to work. You're not going to wake up tomorrow and just like do all of them on day one. You're going to start with one. And then maybe once you have added them all, then the action step can be to do all of them. Don't leave a space worse than I found it. I love that. Put away 5 things, a 5-minute declutter, reset the kitchen, don't buy anything new, package an item that sold right away. Next category is health. You can see that there's a lot in this one, right? There are a lot of, this is one of those goals. I mean, heck, that's what 3 of my 4 are, right? This is one of those goals that lends itself to a lot of daily habits. So no snooze button, go for a walk, check in with your accountability buddy, meal plan for the day, log macros, hit your step goal. There's a typo here. 1 fruit or veggie per day. I kind of like the idea of it being fruit or veggie. I feel like I'm good at getting fruit in though, because Lila eats a lot of fruit. So I just like eat fruit with her. Track food, go to bed at a certain time, hit a water goal, get outside, track blood sugar, track hours slept, close Apple Watch rings, stretch, eat a salad, eat a filling breakfast, hit a protein goal, hit a fiber goal, no snacking. That's impressive. Take vitamins and PT exercises. Last category is personal, and this is just a catch-all for every other suggestion that anyone sent about daily. So check Indeed, someone applying for jobs, work on an online course, plan for the next day, write, read, wake up at a certain time, Duolingo, pray, AM routine, morning routine, but I'm going to hammer home again. If you're going to put routine on a daily step, it better be a routine that you're already doing and you're just like solidifying it. If you are starting a brand new routine, 1 step at a time. Check in on family members, meditate, check in with goals, and prep food for the day. I guess that could have very much gone into health, but I don't know what the category they put is. Anyway, those are our examples. Hopefully there was something in there that like sparked either an idea for you or just a reminder that you needed in terms of daily habits, they can have such a positive impact on your goals because obviously doing a little something every day helps with your motivation and helps with your momentum. But it's hard. It's hard to do something every single day, and we're going to miss days, and that's going to be life. And I just want you to focus on doing your best.